There are some beings walking this earth right now who were never meant to fit in. Not in light, not in shadow, not in temples, not in chaos. They weren't born for purity. They weren't born for corruption. They were born to hold both, to stand in the center of contradiction and become the bridge between what heaven denies and what hell cannot control. These are the dark chosen ones, the rarest of spiritual warriors. The ones whose soul contracts include both wings and fangs. They are feared by the light, misunderstood by the dark, and exiled by those who only see in black and white. And yet, they are some of the most powerful forces incarnated on earth right now. Because only a being who has tasted both the divine and the damned can transmute the shadow of the world into embodied light. You might be one of them. And if you are, you've lived your life feeling like you don't belong anywhere. You've been too raw for the new age, too wise for the streets, too sacred for the sinners, too wild for the saints. You've been told you're too intense, too emotional, too dark, too much. And deep down, you've always known they were right, but not in the way they thought. You are too much because the human container was never meant to hold what your soul carries. You were born to hold polarity, to carry both frequencies of exaltation and exile, of sacredness and savagery. And that's why your inner life has always felt like a battleground. Because your soul didn't come here to choose a side. It came here to become the whole battlefield. The first trait that marks a dark chosen one is spiritual duality that makes no sense to the outside world. You can feel angelic purity in one breath, and then burn with demonic rage in the next. You can pray in tongues and curse in pain. You've touched celestial bliss, but you've also tasted the void. This is not weakness. This is range. This is what happens when your frequency is so wide, it spans multiple dimensions. Angels speak to you. Demons respect you. And both light and shadow bow to your neutrality. You don't worship either side, you integrate them. That's why your presence is so unsettling. You are not here to ascend, you are here to embody. And embodiment means making peace with every part of yourself, including the sacred predator within. Let's talk about pain. Because if you're one of the strongest dark chosen ones, you didn't get here through comfort. You were forged in the fire. You were broken again and again, not because the universe hated you, but because your soul demanded mastery. And mastery only comes through initiation. That's why you faced betrayal from those you loved most. That's why you've walked through spiritual deserts with no guidance. That's why your heart has been shattered, your mind tested, your will pushed to the edge. Because your frequency could never be taught. It had to be earned. You didn't ask for power. You became it by surviving everything that should have destroyed you. And now, you walk with a presence that cannot be faked. A depth that cannot be copied. A vibration that changes the temperature of any room you enter. The second trait is energetic chaos. Most people run from it. You thrive in it. When things fall apart, you get clearer. When others scream in fear, you listen for the signal. You don't need order to activate your mission, you need intensity. That's because your soul was trained in realms where chaos is the language of evolution. You've danced with demons. You've negotiated with darkness. You've faced your own shadows without flinching. And because of that, you can enter any energetic storm and hold your center. That's why people call you when everything's going wrong. That's why you attract broken lovers, wild souls, and haunted places. You are not here to fix them. You are here to witness them without fear. And that witnessing alone is often enough to start the process of transmutation. The third trait is psychic contradiction. You receive visions that don't come from the light. You hear messages that come from the dark, but they're true. You're guided by signs that others would call evil, but they lead you to healing. This is because you are beyond polarity. You don't see demons as enemies. You see them as fragments of collective trauma. You don't see angels as saviors. You see them as servants of divine order. Nothing controls you. You answer to something older than duality, something cosmic, something primal. And that's why your path cannot be taught. It must be remembered. You are not here to follow. You are here to awaken. And your awakening has always been messy, multidimensional, and mystifying. You've never walked a straight line. You were never meant to. If you've made it this far, let me ask you something that could change your life. What part of you have you been suppressing because you were afraid it would make you unlovable? Even though it's the exact part of you that holds your power. Because here's the truth, the world doesn't need more polished light workers. It needs warriors of integration. It needs you. Not the masked version, not the edited version, not the version that plays nice to survive. It needs the real you, the one who can walk through heaven and hell and still choose love without losing their fire. The one who can cry with the angels and roar with the demons and still hold their center. The one who can sit with the possessed, the broken, the enraged and not flinch. Because you weren't born to escape the dark. You were born to become the light that never needed to. The forbidden path of power, why the strongest chosen ones are forged through darkness, not light. The strongest among us were never chosen through comfort. They emerged from collapse. They didn't find the divine in temples of gold, they found it in the ruins of their own minds. That's the forbidden path. The one no spiritual textbook dares to speak of. The path where you don't ascend by rising above darkness, but by entering it fully without losing yourself. If you've walked this path, you already know the light didn't save you. The dark did, because it was only in the dark that you remembered your fire. Only in the dark did you find out what you were made of. And that's why the strongest dark chosen ones are unmistakable. They don't glow with sanitized peace, they pulse with cosmic tension. They are the walking paradox, and the world doesn't know whether to bow to them or run. You see, this path isn't for the faint-hearted. It's not for those chasing comfort, applause, or enlightenment as lifestyle branding. This path takes everything from you. It kills your illusions, your ego, your need to be seen as good. It strips you down until all that's left is raw essence. And that essence is horrifying to those who only know love as light. Because the love that comes from this path is feral. It's not soft. It's not cute. It's the love of a mother ripping open the sky to protect her child. It's the love of a shadow choosing to transmute itself instead of infecting another. It's the love that disciplines, dismantles, devours because it refuses to let anything false survive in its presence. And if you carry this love, you've likely been exiled for it, misunderstood, vilified, but still you remained. Why? Because you don't serve opinion, you serve truth. The fourth trait of the dark chosen ones is that they don't just heal others, they hold others through their destruction. Most light workers can sit with pain, but not many can sit with chaos. You can. You've held others while they screamed, shook, shattered. You've been the calm during someone else's emotional exorcism. You've walked into spaces full of spiritual parasites and smiled not because you're fearless, but because you understand the assignment. You were trained for this, not in a classroom, but in your own nervous system. Every trauma you've transmuted was an initiation. Every heartbreak, a sharpening. Every breakdown, a blueprint. You weren't just healing. You were learning the architecture of collapse. So now, when others fall apart, you don't flinch. You become the container, and that makes you rare. The fifth trait is the ability to access rage without violence. This is misunderstood even in the spiritual world. Rage is not evil, it's sacred fire. Most people suppress it, fearing what it will turn them into. But you made rage your teacher. You let it burn through the lies you were taught to swallow. You let it fuel your boundaries. You let it show you where innocence was stolen from you, from your lineage, from the collective. And instead of projecting it outward, you alchemized it. That's why your presence is so powerful. You're not just calm, you're dangerously clear. And that clarity terrifies those still feeding on confusion. You don't need to raise your voice to assert your truth. You are the vibration of truth, and truth doesn't negotiate. It just is. So ask yourself, have you been taught to fear your rage or to listen to what it's here to protect? The sixth trait is that you've made peace with your darkness, but the world hasn't. You've integrated your shadow. You've looked into your own abyss and found a throne, not a curse. But the world still wants you to choose, to be light or be dark, be holy or be haunted, be angel or be demon. And you said, I am both. You are the altar and the fire, the storm and the sanctuary. You are the one who can walk into broken systems and not be consumed by them. The one who can sit with the possessed and not lose your light. The one who can channel divine rage, ancestral grief, and cosmic love in the same breath. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be undeniable. And those who can't name your frequency will either demonize you or bow to you. Either way, your presence will be felt. The seventh and final trait in this chapter is this: you are not here to be saved. You are here to remind others that they don't need saving. You are not the priest. You are the portal. You don't offer comfort. You offer awakening. And awakening is violent to the ego. That's why people either love you or leave you. Your frequency doesn't soothe, it shakes. It shakes people out of their numbness, out of their stagnation, out of their spiritual bypassing. And in that shaking, they either rise or recoil. But you don't chase. You don't convince. You don't water yourself down to be digestible. Because you know the ones who are meant to hear you will. And when they do, it's not just their mind that understands. It's their soul that remembers. It remembers the chaos, the fire, the silence between lifetimes, the dark vibration that held them when no light could reach. So now I ask you something most spiritual teachers won't dare ask. What if your power doesn't come from your light, but from how deeply you've made peace with your darkness? Because in a world obsessed with purity, the ones who are whole look dangerous. But they are not dangerous. They are free. And nothing threatens control systems more than a soul that cannot be controlled. The secret thrones, why the most powerful beings on earth are hiding in plain sight, and you might be one of them. The final mystery of the dark chosen ones is this: they are often overlooked, underestimated, or even dismissed by the very world they were sent to transform. Not because they are weak, but because their power is not performative. They don't need titles. They don't need followers. They don't need the spotlight. They hold thrones that can't be seen with the eyes, only felt in the field. And that's the secret. The most powerful beings on earth right now, the ones who carry both angelic radiance and demonic depth, are hiding in plain sight. They are the ones in the back of the room, listening. The ones walking through crowds, invisible to those who only see with ego. They are not here to be famous. They are here to be formless. Because their power was never meant to be a brand. It was meant to be a transmission. You've probably felt this in yourself. The quiet knowing that you were born for something massive, but you can't explain what, or why, or how. You felt the weight of a throne that no one else can see. You felt the pressure of a mission that hasn't fully revealed itself. And in the silence, you've wondered, am I crazy? Or am I carrying something ancient? Let me tell you clearly, you are not crazy. You are encoded. Your soul carries a vibration that doesn't just react to the world, it reshapes it. Not by force, but by frequency. And the reason you've been hidden is because the world isn't ready for the full force of who you are. Not yet. Your soul has been in training. And now, the veil is thinning. The frequency is rising. And the question is no longer if you will be revealed. It's how powerfully you will walk once you realize you've always been the one holding the field. The eighth trait of the strongest dark chosen ones is their spiritual invisibility. This is not failure. This is camouflage. You can walk among kings without needing a crown. You can stand in temples without needing robes. You've mastered the art of presence without performance. And that makes you lethal to illusion. Because you're not broadcasting your power, you're embodying it. And embodiment doesn't scream, it resonates. That's why people feel something shift when you enter a room, even if they don't know your name. That's why people confess things to you they've never said aloud. That's why random strangers feel safe breaking down in front of you. You don't need to teach. You are the teaching. Your soul is a sacred field, and anyone who enters it is already being initiated, even if they don't know it. The ninth trait is the ability to hold paradox without collapsing. This is rare. Most people need things to be either or. Good, evil, light, shadow. But you can hold both truths at once. You know that love can be fierce, that healing can feel like war, that angels can bleed, and demons can weep. You don't need simplicity to feel safe. You thrive in complexity. That's why you can walk beside both the broken and the holy and see God in both. That's why you can love someone and still walk away. That's why you can destroy a system and still bless it as it falls. This is the mark of divine maturity. Not righteousness, not purity, not superiority, but integration. And this kind of integration is the rarest vibration on earth because it makes you uncontrollable. And anything that cannot be controlled becomes legendary. The 10th trait is that you attract spiritual warfare not because you're cursed, but because you're carrying something that threatens control systems. You've probably noticed every time you step into more alignment, more truth, more embodiment, weird things start happening. Electronics glitch. People lash out. Fears intensify. Old wounds open. Why? Because your frequency is disrupting the matrix. You're not just healing yourself. You're dismantling energetic contracts that have kept entire bloodlines in bondage. You're not just speaking truth. You're ripping veils off ancient lies. And the entities, energies, and unconscious systems that feed on distortion, they sense you. They mark you. But here's the thing, they cannot touch you unless you forget who you are. That's why your greatest weapon is remembrance. The moment you remember your truth, the spell breaks, the matrix glitches, the illusion collapses, and you rise. The 11th trait is that your life has been a series of initiations disguised as chaos. Nothing has been random. Every betrayal, every death, every loss, every exile, it was all ceremony. Your soul signed up for density not as punishment, but as preparation. Because the only ones who can carry both angelic and demonic frequencies are the ones who have walked through every layer of human suffering and still chose to return with love in their hands. You've died 1,000 ego deaths. You've lost parts of yourself you thought you couldn't live without. And still you kept walking. Still you kept remembering. Still you kept choosing truth over comfort. And that's why you're dangerous to distortion. Because you've already faced the thing most people spend their whole lives avoiding, the death of who you thought you were. And in that death, you found your throne. And now we arrive at the final trait, the one few speak of, the one even fewer can carry. It's this: you are not here to be saved. You are here to be the storm that reminds the world how to save itself. You are the one who walks alone so others can find the courage to trust their own voice. You are the one who breaks ancestral cycles not with permission but with presence. You are the one who looks into the eyes of the system and says, "I see you. I know what you've done, and I'm still not afraid of you." Because your soul didn't come here to play small. It came here to rewrite the field. And you do that not by convincing anyone of anything. You do that by becoming the walking vibration of what can no longer be denied. So I ask you now, and I ask it not to flatter you, but to awaken you. If your entire life has been a preparation for this moment, what are you still pretending not to be? Because we both know the truth. You were never just a healer. You were never just a mystic. You were never just a rebel. You are a throne hidden in skin, a storm wearing a smile, a vibration so ancient, even the stars remember your name. And you didn't come to play in the light. You came to be the one who walks into the dark and brings the whole damn cosmos with you. It's time. They've been waiting for you.